So what is it that you think you learned when you went back to school that prepared you for a job where you have a lot of people that you are motivating and responsible for, that maybe you didn't have that skill set when you started your family young and just were going right into the workforce right away? What is it that going back to school helped you gain those skills now for what you do now for a living?
I think a couple of ways. One is that certainly I learned a lot about work-life balance. And adding school into that dimension, you really have to focus and concentrate on that and
Time management,
Time management, yes, absolutely. And I think taking away from going back to school as an adult, I learned so much about people that I was going to school with, and how we were all in this race of life, and yet we were all unique, and yet all of us had talents that we brought to the table. One of the really cool things I thought about the William Penn program was that we had a study team, and our study team was extremely successful in that we were the only study team that William Penn had had to that point that enjoyed each other so much and got along so well and did so well together that we wanted to progress each year and keep our same study team. And to this day, those people are still friends, and
Wow.
and we keep in touch. So it's kind of cool.
From the working adult angle, what are some of the average ages? I mean, where does it vary from?
We really find that our population is right around 38.
Oh, okay.
So we do have a pretty diverse age range as
Sure.
well in the classroom.
Sure.
What we really look for is experience that people have had. So that when we come into the classroom, when we focus on business, we have people who have somewhat of a level playing field on the experience that they can play off of and participate in that team environment, in that group setting.
Sure, sure. And I could see where a person on the younger end would be learning so much just by being in the same room
Absolutely.
with someone on the other end.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
that would
Well,
help
and there's a
lot.
trade-off too,
Sure.
especially with technology.
Oh, yes.
So when we do have some people that are a little younger, some of the social networking that's available now, it can help foster the other direction as well.
Yeah.
So it's a very good dynamic in the classroom.
Oh, I would, if I were in that classroom, I would definitely need those younger people to help me with the technology. So compare a little bit your adult going back to the kids right out of high school going into college. How does that classroom change?
Well, in the classroom setting, there are a couple elements that come into play. The adult is very committed. When they come in, they're very concerned about their grades. You don't always get that in that traditional setting.
No.
The recollection that I have from that traditional setting is a lot more of what you do over the weekend.
Yeah, exactly. How do you feel? Did you get any sleep?
Right,
Or
right.
The noise, the music in the dorm.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
The adults are a lot more focused.
Yeah.
That's typically not the conversation that they'll have.
Sure.
They get a lot more protective of their work. They're not as willing to just share what they've done.
While we trade notes under the table.
Exactly. It becomes something that they have worked very hard on. They're very proud of it, and they're very committed to earning their grade.
More on going back to college when we come back on Metro Woman.
When a person decides finally to make that big leap of going back to school or continuing one that maybe they put on hold, what are some of the reasons and some of the things they have to think about?
Well, they really do need to be cognizant, I think, now more than ever, what is their learning style? How do they think they can be successful? Because it is a big commitment. So do they have a personality that perhaps the classroom is absolutely where they need to be, at least to get started if it's been a while, since they have been in college, or maybe they haven't been to college before. There's some personalities out there that do very well online. So is that an avenue that they need to consider? That's probably the biggest item to consider.
Right.
The next thing, what's a reality?
Oh,
What kind of a program do I need time-wise?
sure.
What can I make work with my schedule? Do I need something that I can do in the evenings or on the weekends? Is it realistic for me to look at a program that maybe is only available during the day?
Right.
And then the finances. They need to look at it in advance and make sure that it's something that when they make the commitment, that when they're in it, they know that they have a plan
Right.
to complete it.
Right.
And that's really the biggest, the three big items that they really
Yeah.
probably need to look at.
Okay, Kathy, so you got your bachelor's, you went back and got your bachelor's at William Penn, so, and now you've got the great job. Are you done, or is there something else you're kind of thinking down the road of doing?
Well, the organization I work for believes in lifelong learning and certainly supports employees, encourages them to always be learning and furthering their education. Shortly after I became a manager, I had an opportunity to get a healthcare leadership certificate from Drake University, which taught me a lot about parts of healthcare, and the management of it that I hadn't even thought about. And I enjoyed that learning process so much that that really extended into going back and getting my master's. And so that's what I'm currently doing at Drake University, is working on my master's in public administration.
Wow.
I just don't think that you can ever stop learning, and there's so much, especially when you look at all of the opportunities ahead of us today, some known and some unknown. I think preparing yourself to be versatile and in anything that you do is
And
just,
not to mention that going back to school, then you're staying competitive in the job market. That's got to be nice to know you've got that job security in uncertain times. That, well, she's the smarty pants, we're going to hire her, and keep her around. And that's being a valuable asset to where you are working, because you are constantly bettering yourself is very admirable. I mean, I really think that's great that you've done that just because you wanted to. And just showing that you can do it. You can have the job and go back and have a family and continue that journey. And I think that's incredible.
Tell us a little bit about what universities are doing to help people go and stay and not drop out because of other responsibilities.
Well, I think now that there are a lot more tools available through online support that students can utilize, in addition to different formats that are set up like we have here at William Penn with learning teams. So that's a huge advantage as well. Whether it's a Wikipedia kind of access or the various databases that we can hit, to just simply being able to get your hands on lots of research.
Sure.
Those kinds of things are huge step forwards from having to go to the library and pull the encyclopedia off the shelf
That's
and
true.
shuffle through the paper.
That's true.
So it's a whole different learning dynamic than what some people may be accustomed to.
Maybe their first class should be computer awareness, computer literacy.
Yeah,
Sure.
learning in a whole new environment.
Yeah.
And so for some people, some of that will be new. Not everybody, but for some it will be.
And for the student that is stressing over it, it's just maybe more than they thought it would be. How do you help them? I mean, is there some counseling or some ways to kind of encourage the discouraged?
Well, here we have advisors available that can help. We also have some, writing labs, math labs that students can utilize as well. So, there are academic coaches that can be made available to students if they need it. And depending on the university that you're at, those kinds of things are probably a lot more prevalent than what they had been in prior years.
Right. I bet they get used more too. For students going back, I think in the young college areas, I'm sure I know I'm referring to somebody I know in my family, it's like, no, I don't want to go ask for help. But whereas an adult going back, I'm sure pride is out the window. If I need help, I'll ask for it.
Right.
Yeah, good.
More on going back to college when we come back on Metro Woman. But first, here's a quick and easy recipe from Kayla Westergaard from the Iowa Egg Council.